Welcome to Reclaimed Heritage,
a place where we discuss traditional skills for the practical home.
We're your hosts, Christy,
Carrie,
and Elaine.
If you joined us last week, we were talking about cooking from scratch. However, that's hard to do if you don't have a well-stocked pantry. Join us today as we share with you how to start stocking your pantry and some of our favorite things that we have. The little house was fairly bursting with good food stored away for the long winter. The pantry and the shed and the cellar were full, and so was the attic. Laura and Mary must play in the house now, for it was cold outdoors and the brown leaves were all falling from the trees. The fire in the cook stove never went out. At night, Pa banked it with ashes to keep the coals alive till morning. The attic was a lovely place to play. The large, round, colored pumpkins made beautiful chairs and tables. The red peppers and the onions dangled overhead. The hams and the venison hung in their paper wrappings, and all the bunches of dried herbs, the spicy herbs for cooking, and the bitter herbs for medicine, gave the place a dusty, spicy smell. Often the wind howled outside with a cold and lonesome sound, but in the attic, Laura and Mary played house with the squashes and the pumpkins, and everything was snug and cozy. Excerpt from Little House in the Big Woods by Laura Ingalls Wilder.
welcome back. This is Season 2, Episode 3, where we are going to discuss pantry.
Yes, all things spices.
Yes. Flowers.
Flowers, yes.
All the cooking.
Right. I know. It's the all of the things that happen to fit in one aisle at the grocery store.
That's
right?
what they say, yeah. Shop the outer, the outer,
aisle.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's the one time, like, you can go on the inside and it's still healthy.
Yeah.
But make it quick.
But make it quick. I know, don't get stuck at the icing or the box mixes of cake.
Right.
Or chocolate chips.
Yeah, I know. Oh my gosh, I have a story about chocolate chips. You want to hear my random today?
Yeah,
Or
go ahead.
this week? So my mom has a cleaning business, and she has, like, the most awesome vacuum cleaners, and I decided to deep clean my closet. Which means, of course, there are spider webs, which then, of course, means that you must use, like, the longest hose possible to clean these up so that in case there's a spider, it doesn't come near me. So I borrow her vacuum cleaner, but it's not working. And I called her, like, this thing, you gave me a broken vacuum cleaner. She assures me it isn't, tries to tell me all the ways to fix it. I tell her that there's nothing wrong. Anyways, I take a broom. I'm sticking this broom down into this ridiculously long, like, it's, okay, so the handle, like the metal component of the handle is like 5 feet. But then the hose is like another 6 feet. And I'm trying to put this broom in there, and then this is where I figure out, like, the hose of the vacuum cleaner is clogged. It will not move. I cannot figure out what is inside of it. Lo and behold, after like 30 minutes, it's chocolate chips.
Wait, hold on. From your closet?
No. I didn't know someone had used the vacuum cleaner that I was borrowing, but apparently when some of our kiddos were at my house, somehow, like, a whole bag of chocolate chips got spilled. And one of my sweet younger girls was like, I'll clean it with the vacuum cleaner.
Yeah.
Like,
Makes sense.
what could possibly go wrong? Oh my gosh.
It couldn't have been any of my children, because mine would have just eaten the chocolate chips off the floor.
I was going to say, I might find a straggler chocolate chip, because, you know, I've already said my kids tap into the chocolate chip bags all the time. So I'll find one, and then I'm on the hunt of, who was it? Who was it?
Well, I'm wondering if, I don't know if you remember, we have, like, the old rug in our basement that used to be upstairs. It is, like, dark brown. Like, it's not like regular brown. It's so dark. So I'm wondering if maybe they just didn't see it. It was afterwards. They were cleaning it the next day with Michael. Yeah. So I stick this broom in there, and I'm, like, shoving as hard as I can, and then, like, a pop sound, and all over my kitchen floor was, like, a confetti pop of chocolate chips. It's awesome.
So and you didn't vacuum them back up with the vacuum cleaner.
No, I called young ladies and said things like, find a broom.
I'm just glad it wasn't in your closet.
Me too.
Because if it was in my house, it would have been Cyrus hiding in the closet and dropped the chocolate chips.
Sounds like a clue answer.
Right.
In the closet with a bag of chocolate chips.
With the vacuum cleaner and chocolate chips. Yeah. Well, you had a really big weekend.
I did. I was in Omaha with my daughter and son-in-law, and it was fantastic. And I was thinking through what we're going to talk about today. So I'm thinking about food and pantry. And my daughter's one of the ones that kept asking, can you do a pantry episode? So, honey, this one's for you. But just thinking about the week, I was just so proud. I was blown away at the cooking skills that she has, the extravagant hospitality they showed. I mean, they're living in a tiny apartment. I know she wanted me to do this episode, but she really has a well-stocked, like I would open her cabinet and she has like everything. And she was cooking, you know, roasts, and she made her homemade sourdough bread for dinner. I was being served her kefir that she makes with sprinkled cinnamon on top. And it was just fabulous. And even just listening to my son-in-law pray before every meal, oh my goodness, it's just crazy. You know, I was thinking, you know, scripture says to train up a child in the way they are to go, and when they are old, they won't depart from it. And I also was thinking of, I have no greater joy than to see that my children walk in truth. And it's like, just this week, I could see all those things. Like when you're doing the hard work, and it seems like they're not paying attention, they are, you know? I actually had 2 moments like that. I'm like getting weepy in the car thinking about it. But, well, because I was gone, none of the laundry got done. So I was in deep laundry yesterday. So my kids,
Laundry
some of my
mountain
kids,
is what I refer to it.
We're like fending for themselves.
Yeah.
And this kind of leads into the stock pantry. So Asher comes in, he's like in my bedroom, he's like, Mom, can I make cookies? He says, can I make pumpkin cookies? Okay, sure. Well, I have puree pumpkin. I'm thinking this is what he's doing. Can I look up a recipe? No problem. So I never go in the kitchen. Him and Jubilee, which are 8 and he just turned 11 just the other day, are baking. They call me in finally to see their cookies, and I am blown away. First, they made sugar cookies from scratch. You know how many years I bought the packaged sugar cookie mix at Christmas because I couldn't comprehend doing that on my own. But their sugar cookies had imprints of pumpkins, tomatoes, and red peppers. They actually rolled out 3 colors of sugar cookie. They dyed them, they rolled them, and then they sliced them, and they looked like the ones you buy frozen in the grocery store. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
It has like, I was in shock.
Chef Asher.
Where is this?
It was, I should,
No pictures?
I feel like I need to text someone. Don't eat them all. Take a picture.
I want to see.
Maybe Asher did. But the fact that Jubilee made chili peppers, like she had chili pepper imprints in the center of her cookie, but it was just like a wow moment. So just,
so cute.
You know, I'm always telling people, let your kids help. And letting them help, they will like amaze you and surprise you of what they can create on their own. And having a well-stocked pantry, actually, everything they needed was there.
Right.
That's awesome.
Down to the food coloring, which is a little shocking. I don't really know where that was, but it was there. So,
Wow.
Yeah.
Anything exciting for you this week, Christy?
No, not really. Just our normal.
Lots of working,
crazy.
all the normal.
I mean, we've got family coming to stay with us this weekend, and some kiddos staying a little longer with us this week. So, doing some shifting around of bedrooms and all that kind of stuff today, but nothing. We have a hymn sing tonight. It's Resurrection Day week and Holy Week, so we're doing those kind of activities for church. So we're excited. We had a new piano delivered today.
You did?
We upgraded our piano. Yeah.
Wow.
So
that's big.
it is big.
Is it a baby grand?
No.
No.
I don't have the room for that. I just, the idea of dusting that also is intimidating to me.
I could see that.
You could double as a dining room table.
No.
I try.
But it is an old upright from a church, and it's beautiful. So it's, awesome. Major sound change. It really fills the room. Whereas we just kind of had a small parlor kind of piano before, but that's going to my daughter's apartment. So it's just,
awesome. It just keeps getting passed on.
I was going to say good quality sound and piano will make your children want to practice more, but I know you don't have that problem in your home. I think they practice too much.
Yes.
There's always music playing.
There's always music.
Yeah, so maybe
It's
you did
never
yourself
quiet.
in.
Yeah, I don't know.
It'll never be quiet.
No, my daughters are happy. Sarah was there today,
that's awesome.
and Stacey, they were both playing, and
That's awesome.
hymns filled the house and made Papa cry while he was there. So it was
my.
good.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's not hard to do.
He loves our
Yeah, he
music.
does.
No, it's not. He's very
He's a
soft towards
softie.
all of the kids and everything. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
He is a softie.
Well,
Yes,
okay.
Sorry. No, I was just going to say we have our hymn sing tonight at his house, actually,
Yes.
with his baby grand.
It's
Yeah.
going to be beautiful.
It will be lovely.
Just got to get the hymnals
All
there.
packed in. They're on their way.
Oh, yay.
That was
good.
I just got a message.
It's the joy of meeting somewhere small on the regular basis.
This is
We
true.
tend to meet with your father-in-law a lot. He's very gracious and always opening up his home, him and Terry.
Yeah, and when we
exciting.
decided to kind of endeavor to start this journey of our own church kind of thing, this is kind of where it started, was a simple hymn
I know,
sing.
right?
And just
I
getting
remember.
together to praise the Lord and
Yep.
Are we going to fit? That's my concern.
Yeah. Wow. I don't know.
I think we're going to do some back porch. And Papa, he's already called me and said, by the way, I've invited some neighbors.
Good.
So I'm thankful.
Guaranteed.
Where are we going to put them?
Well, I had to stop myself from doing like that Facebook post that says, we're having a hymn sing.
Come on
if you
over,
want to
yeah.
come, PM me. And then I was like, but where would I put them? I should do it anyway.
Yeah.
I don't think I have
We'll
much
make
time.
room. I think we'll
Yeah.
open the sliding door and put some chairs on the back porch. And yeah.
That's awesome.
All right. Well, we're going to lean into our pantry talk. And my question to you ladies is, and I will answer it as well, is what is one item that you keep in your pantry that might not be on a pantry list, that might be unique to your family, that you just have to have?
I'll go first.
Yeah.
Pickles. My kids eat
okay.
pickles like crazy. And I've done the half-gallon jars of homemade pickles. But yeah, I would have to
I love
say that is
pickles.
one of those unexpected things. And whenever we travel, it's like our travel food. We
do
always
that
buy a
too.
big
Yeah.
jar of pickles and pass them around. And
Okay,
the
but
van smells like vinegar. And
are you pickle snobs? Because this is the dilemma at our house.
when we can afford to be, we are.
The younger girls are thrilled with like the pickles that we get at Aldi that are just dill.
Yeah.
My older kids, as they've been able to sometimes buy their own, of course,
Right.
then like buy them and write
The
their name
deli,
in it on
yeah.
Sharpie. And my husband is a Clausen only
Really?
fan.
But have you had Wickles?
Oh my god. Okay, I'm just laughing because that's your son's nickname.
Well, it
by
came.
my kids.
Yeah.
It's Wickles.
I know. Wickles. I don't like Walmart. I say this a lot. However, I did do a pickup order once, and I put pickles on my list, and instead they filled it with Wickles because they were out, which are actually spicy pickles.
I didn't know what Wickles were.
That's what they are. They're
I'm over here
Wickles.
clueless. Like
They're
it sounds like
Wickles.
a
Yeah.
Dr. Seuss character.
Like, I don't know if is that why it's his nickname? Like, he loves those pickles.
I don't know, but I feel like I just hear my son saying
I
like
know.
Papa Wickles all the time.
Yeah, we love
to
Wickles.
Kaden.
Wickles pickles.
we are the families that we nickname those we love,
Oh,
and
yes.
they multiple
Oh,
nicknames.
yes.
So
Right.
yeah,
That's true. Okay, mine would be okay, I'm going to say the thing that's like that I use a lot that my kids don't know that we use.
Okay.
But I am a big nutritional yeast fan.
Yep, we have that.
And I would say like that would be more of a recent in like my span of cooking from scratch due to THM.
Right,
they really
moving forward,
pushed
yeah.
nutritional yeast, and I didn't realize how good it was. And it's a
And you
thing that
can't
like
tell
my
it's in
kid,
there.
yes,
Yeah.
every
Right,
now and then someone's in the kitchen when I add it, and they all go, "Ew!" Like it's not the most visually appealing thing that
Even
you
just
add.
you say it,
Yeah.
it sounds kind of gross.
Right.
Nutritional
it does,
yeast.
yeah. It does. But it's the thing that when I add it into whatever we're having, they're always like, well, this one's really good. And I'm like, yep.
Shh, don't tell anybody.
I know.
Now they know. Now they
Right.
know. So I would say mine is coconut milk. I always have jars of coconut
good
milk
one.
in my pantry.
We have none. I've never even
Really?
bought coconut milk. What do you do with it?
Oh, well, we love Indian food,
yeah.
and it's easy to throw together, a few ingredient coconut curry chicken dish together. But also, we took my simple tomato soup recipe, and instead of doing like chicken broth in it, I swapped it for coconut milk and added curry in it, and it is amazing. It is so tasty. So coconut milk.
Yeah.
You can use it in many different things. Yeah.
look it up.
It's always in my pantry.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm
sure your children have looked in my pantry and go, there's nothing to eat. All there is coconut milk. Ingredients. That's right.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I know.
You know you've arrived when that's what your kids say.
It's word for word exactly what I was just about to call. You know you've arrived. And your kids say you're an ingredient.
Yeah,
These are
I get it all the time, right? There's nothing to eat. There's lots to eat. You just need to make it.
Yeah.
I know.
Might require some work.
I was listening to my teenagers the other day complain about how they couldn't find anything to eat for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Yet it's like magic because I then have to make dinner with all the things we don't have.
Or do you ever ask them? Because I will then ask them, what are you expecting to find? I ask this because like they go through the cabinets, the refrigerator, the freezer. There's nothing to eat. Well, what are you expecting to find? Usually they don't know. But then when they do narrow it down, they all say the same thing. They want something dry.
Oh, yeah.
Which, what I mean by dry is they want a cracker or pretzels or chips. These are the things that I don't keep on hand, but this is what they mean because there'll be fruit, fresh fruit.
I was gonna say Oreos, like mine would go and be like, "Why aren't there?" And I'm like, "Because we don't buy those.
We just don't ever." But
my
they want
teenagers mean I want to eat someone's leftover restaurant food from yesterday, but since we didn't go to a restaurant, there isn't any of that. But that's what they want.
But you could make restaurant quality.
Yes.
Or just go to Asher and Jubilee's house
Right.
and they'll provide.
Yeah, that's right. Oh my goodness. I got to get a picture of those cookies. They were really amazing. Blow me away.
Well, if you're, okay, so I would say if you're newly married or living on your own for the first time or you've moved, I will say when we moved, this was kind of like my eye opener of spices that I thought were like mostly empty. I didn't feel like packing, and then we moved, and you realize your brain was like, I'll get that later, and then didn't, and you're out. So where do we want to start?
I just basics. Flour, dry milk, things that you can make ingredients out of later.
So you could even look at
like
baking.
Prepping.
Like what are the things that you would need for baking? We could start just
Chocolate chips.
list. Yes.
Brown sugar never lasts at our house. So if you get regular sugar, you can always add molasses to it to make your brown sugar. So molasses.
I'm also thinking baking powder, baking soda, yeast, or things we always have.
Yep.
Extracts.
Cocoa powder.
Yep.
Cocoa powder.
And along the lines, like if you're in a very small area, you know, a small jar of molasses takes up less space than having sugar and brown sugar containers. And same for powdered sugar or icing sugar. That's just regular sugar in a blender, you guys.
And I would also say too, like you do not have to store everything in a pantry. If you have a tote where you're going to put less used items, you can in an apartment store things in a storage closet or think outside the
closet.
pantry.
Yes, definitely think outside the pantry.
We store our yeast in the freezer because we buy it in bulk and it will last forever. If you keep it out, it does not. We're not. If you can find it in bulk, don't buy the little packages of yeast. They are outrageously priced. It is crazy.
2 1/4 teaspoons out of the big pack.
Right.
And I'm not sure like what the actual longevity is on yeast, but mine's years old and still
Mine is too, and still in the freezer. Yep.
And same thing as far as like your flour, you know, you could store that in the freezer also.
Yeah,
really, most of your baked goods you can store in the freezer.
I recommend if you are going to pull it out, you put it in the freezer first anyway. So it kills off any yucky things that might be in there.
And once you've had, oh my gosh, once you've had, I will lovingly call them pantry bugs because that's a nicer word than what they are. Once you've had them, then you will
appreciate killing them off before
storing them in the freezer. Because that's all sorts of special. So yeah, I think that's everything on our
baking list.
Shortening is on the list.
Yeah. I keep it on hand. I mean that too. That lasts like
I do too.
If you're not familiar with shortening, but we're not.
I hate it. But there are some cookie recipes seasonally that I make or something that has it in it.
Yeah.
But we eat those few and far between ingredients.
And in almost all of those, they can be substituted with an animal fat of some sort, which would be our recommendation.
Right. We make tortillas all the time, and the recipe I had called for shortening, but I used olive oil, and it works just the same. I mean, the texture might be different when you're making the dough because it is different, but the end result is identical. So,
yeah, yep. All right. Well, I see on your list you've got your dried herbs and spices.
Yep, dried herbs and spices. So there is a lot here. What's your favorite ones that you keep on hand?
Okay, I mean, the basic, obviously, salt and pepper, easily.
Garlic powder.
Garlic powder.
Minced garlic. Minced onion. Onion powder. I like the mix of Italian, which is really just parsley, basil, and oregano. But I keep those also separate.
Same.
Paprika.
Yep. Chili powder.
Cumin.
Those are, I would say, cumin is my favorite. Like garlic powder and cumin. They almost go in every meat dish that I make. But
cream of tartar, if you're baking, is handy too. You can use it as an egg substitute sometimes if you don't have eggs. So,
bay leaves.
Dill
seed we use constantly. We're always making dill dip.
I'm not really. Oh, yeah, that's true. You do make a delicious dill dip. I rarely have dill. We usually buy like a fresh dill if I'm doing it. But that's smart.
No, I love dill. Yeah,
we make Greek food so often, and dill isn't a lot of that. So actually, I have a Costco list that I need to fill because we ran out of like dill, we ran out of rosemary, we ran out of cumin. Like, we cannot live
so
without
rosemary
cumin.
and thyme.
Rosemary
I would put on there. I use those in a lot of recipes.
I'm thinking baking seasonings. You have cinnamon, cloves, nutmeg. That we use nutmeg all the time.
If you
Sesame seeds, which we use often because we make a lot of Oriental inspired type food. So that's always good to have that.
Yeah, those are the basic ones. I mean,
crushed red pepper.
We
cannot live without crushed red
pepper. We
pepper.
buy the giant containers of crushed red pepper.
We do too.
Yeah. It's interesting though, you guys. We don't have specific recommendations for you on this, but just do your research on the spices that you're buying. So,
correct.
If you're aware of what's currently happening, like there are some lawsuits against some of the larger spice corporations for some of the things that they have in their spices that they didn't disclose. Now,
that they've added to the ingredients list that isn't listed. Correct.
Now, I'm the first to say, like, I could never find myself, like, I could never justify spending $30 on a large container of garlic powder. I just don't ever foresee us being at that place where it's economically valuable because we fly through it. But some of the smaller spices, you know, you could spend a little more that you're not using them as often. I do know we have I think Penzeys spice. Have you been to Penzeys?
Yes.
Yeah. Have you?
It's right by the cross stitch store in Upper Arlington.
Field tripping. So you will love it.
I went to the library there. Wild and free.
But I did look it up. You can order online. I do think they may be a national store. If not, I know they deliver nationally.
They're a national chain. Yeah.
Their quality of spices is fantastic. And I will say we've only, in the 20 years we've been married, owned like 4.
It's like a splurge item.
It is a splurge item. But the potency of the spice, I mean, what you're gaining for your money, like you're using less in quantity.
Yes.
And I have noticed that my spices that I buy, the generic from like Aldi and Walmart, even in the last 20 years, I'm using almost double on some of these spices to yield the same flavor.
I would say I've grown my own, and so on many of these. So my recommendation would be, if you can, and you can even in an apartment, do a small, find something that you use regularly and try and grow it. Dill's very easy. Basil, very easy.
Cilantro grows like
it's one of our whole
crazy.
episodes, ladies. We're doing a whole episode on growing your own herbs.
Okay.
We can't talk too much about that.
No,
I forget
we
to mention
but
curry
it is,
powder.
Spoiler, but you really can, and this is something you can then put in jars. I've done it. Yeah.
Okay, what we didn't mention is packages of seasoning, because if you, like taco seasoning, because if you have all of these, you don't need to buy them, and you don't need the additives that are in there. So you do not need to go to that little McCormick section and buy beef stew packets. And it cracks me up at the amount of packets they have that you can buy. They're high priced. They have additives you don't need, and you can figure that out yourself.
My kids are always like, we'd go by there in the grocery store, and they're like, "What are those, Mom?" And
like,
I'm like,
chicken fajita?
Nothing we will ever buy.
So what's really funny is, or this will shock you, but early on in our marriage, I did used to buy those. Like if I was going to do a roast, I would buy the slow cooker one. That's how I was raised. That's what we did. My dad still to this day, that is how he makes roast. So,
But your dad's probably not keeping all the seasonings in his pantry.
I mean, he has a lot of them. I just think it's one of those, like, you don't know what you don't know. Right? So,
like, pancakes don't only have to come out of a box.
Right. Yes.
She's like, they do. They do.
Okay.
No, it's a bag.
My kids are making them, they don't. But if it's Brian or I, they're Bisquick. That's fine. Anyways, sidebar. But here's the irony. It has probably been 10 years. It was like 8 years ago when we started getting our own beef. And this is going to sound weird, but that was like our transition to like kind of needing to, I don't want to say
branch
mask
out
the flavor, but like we really wanted to like eat the beef more at like, it just tasted delicious. Like it didn't matter that we were cooking ground meat. It had like a steak flavor. So when we were doing tacos, my husband started this whole like, let's just season it with salt and pepper, not make it taco seasoning. Well, slowly that transitioned out of buying the seasoned packets. It's been 8 years probably since we've done it. Like last month, I was with Sophia and Ellie, and I was going to do a roast, and I always have like 3 variations. So I'm like, let's try something different. I went over there, picked up the packet, the one that looked good, and turned it over.
And put it
was
back.
in shock. I was
There
in
shouldn't
shock.
be that many ingredients.
But you can't even pronounce
You can't
them.
pronounce them, no.
And I wanted to see what was in it because I'm like, I could probably recreate this at home, but it's a different flavor than we can usually have. No, I can't recreate it at home in that way, like with what they had.
Right.
So, wow, you guys, I didn't even know.
Yeah.
We just had stopped doing it,
Right.
but I had no idea what was in those spice packets.
Yeah, just walk past that aisle.
And they're expensive.
Not the aisle, past that section.
Yes.
To the spices.
To the spices. It was crazy.
All right, so I also have here different oils and condiments. So I think oils we always have on hand: olive oil, coconut oil,
Yes.
Ghee.
sesame oil. I have
Ghee is something I keep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
different vinegars.
All the vinegars.
Yeah, all the vinegars. Rice vinegar we use a lot.
Us too.
Honey. Did we say honey yet?
No.
we did not say.
Nope. Honey's used a lot.
Maple syrup. Mayonnaise.
All the condiments.
Yeah, all the
Some
condiments.
prepared salad dressings because we'll, bring a salad somewhere or something and grab a couple.
Yeah, we always have those on hand.
Yeah, I try to. Salsa is something either homemade or store bought, but that's something we stock. Beans like crazy.
Well, those are all things that, like, again, growing up, I didn't know that, what is it, like Ortega chunky salsa or whatever that you buy at Walmart wasn't the only salsa you could buy. And that sounds stupid, but if you're young and you're just similarly purchasing the things that your family's bought, like it was years before I bought like Verde salsa. And, even if they're store-bought, not homemade, just try different ones. You may end up finding stuff that you like better. I mean, that was us with is it Bragg's Amino?
Yeah, right.
That we ended up switching to from soy sauce. Now I have one daughter who's obsessed with soy sauce, and that's her go-to, and we have both. But, like, trying different versions of similar condiments
Yep.
can be eye-opening.
Yeah.
And there's some things that you can make easily. Like, I'm not going to attempt to make my own mustard with mustard seeds and vinegar. But you could do that. But, like, we had fish the other night, so I don't ever buy tartar sauce. Right. Tartar sauce is so easy to make. If you have mayonnaise, if you have the relish or pickles or whatever, you can easily make this. So that goes along kind of with, like, the packets of the pre-mixed seasoning.
Yes.
A lot of these things you can whip up barbecue sauce. Easy enough. You don't really need to have barbecue sauce. Ketchup, I have not made ketchup.
Us either, but Heath Goldsmith is infamous for his barbecue sauce.
Yes,
that he
he is.
makes and brings along. It's delicious.
Yeah.
Actually, that was one of Sarah's graduation party. She wanted smoked meat, and then she wanted all the sauces. So we did like a Georgia white sauce and like different kinds of barbecue sauces for the meat. And that was kind of fun. Took us outside of our comfort zone. But of course, he made the barbecue.
If you're looking to move to a new area and you're looking for a good church, I would recommend Central Ohio. It only to eat Heath's smoked pork.
Seriously. I know, we're so spoiled right now. Once a month we're doing a potato bar, and Heath brings us like 30
This is what I'm talking
pounds
about.
of smoked pulled pork, and
It is worth
It's
it.
a good thing.
It is.
It is worth it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, we might not have a lot of space, but we really do eat well.
We do. We do.
Yes.
That's something I would say too. Keep in mind, you don't have to have everything to prep your pantry, and you don't have to become a prepper. But like for those maybe newly married, think of the size of salsa that you actually would ingest in the time frame. And because you don't want to grab something great big and then store it in your fridge. That's not
Right.
conducive to what we're trying to teach here. But yeah.
Right.
Fridge space is equally as valuable.
Yes.
It is. And look at what you cook. What do you like to eat? And then stock those things. And then, because there is an upfront cost if you're starting from nothing. So maybe you don't need curry powder, but maybe down the line you want to try something different. But you definitely don't want to store things that you're not going to consume because you will end up throwing them away when they have a date of 2005 on them.
Yeah.
You have to check it.
True. I know. Those lovely ladies. You knew this. I had some lovely young ladies that were at my house doing something when I was doing my deep cleaning of my pantry. I think they were taking pity on me and said things like, Mrs. Parks, can we help you? And I was like, sure, let's go through the spice cabinet. And they were finding spices older than they were. And it's so fun. It doesn't make you feel old at all. When they're like, oh my gosh, this was made back in, the 1900s. They're like, do you want to keep it? I'm like, no, thank you. I don't need antique spices.
They don't even smell different from each other anymore. It's just one consistent bland smell.
Are these vintage spices?
And then our lovely, it was Dana from church, who's comes from master organizing family. She was so sweet because she looked at me and did the math and says, wait, but you moved here in 2015, which means you packed the expired spice. I'm like,
10 years expired.
Just let's move on, okay? But thanks for that.
Oh my goodness. All right. What other top heading do you have there?
Boxed and packaged stuff. So this is not, I was actually looking at this list that they were suggesting. What's interesting is I hardly have anything on this list. And until I met you, Miss Elaine, we never had rice. We were not rice eaters. Ever. Never. I didn't grow up eating rice. My kids didn't grow up eating rice. It's just not a thing.
Then you might not be a large family if you don't have rice.
Or beans.
Or beans.
Yeah.
I remember, oh my goodness. Okay, so
I know you're going to tell the same
COVID, story. when we're trying to stockpile before there are no groceries left for COVID, and
when Elaine panicked.
When I panicked. And I don't know if it was you, Carrie, or your kids got a glimpse of my pantry stock, and they were like, ours looks nothing like this. I had every can of bean you could ever imagine, black-eyed peas, kidney beans, black beans.
First time I was feeding your kids dinner, I had them with me. I'm in Walmart, and I look at them and say, guys, you pick dinner. Whatever it is that you want to eat, we will make for dinner. And they were so sweet. They wouldn't pick anything. And I said, well, that's fine. Then I'm just going to make up whatever I want. And one of your teens, who I won't out, says,
I know, it was Jeremiah, wasn't it? Always Jeremiah.
Could we just have anything other than beans and rice?
Okay.
I looked at her, I was like, rest assured, that will not be happening because I don't know how to cook either one of those things.
And I've got to eat
I
it.
have to eat dinner.
Well, I went on a beans and rice strike after that. When you told me that, I'm like, I shall never make beans and rice. And do you know they started going, Mom, how come you don't make beans and rice anymore? That's our favorite. You used to make it once a week.
Well, and ironically, my son Michael, his current favorite meal that he makes daily is a pound of rice, a pound of refried beans, and no joke, ladies, a pound of cheese. Now, this is not an economical meal of any capacity, but he's really proud of
up
himself.
until you got to the cheese.
What? You had me until cheese.
Cheese.
Yes.
I thought you were going to say a pound of ground beef, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, that's
Right.
Yeah.
That'd be cheaper.
Yeah, the cheese? No.
Yeah. No. So he's, this is what he's eaten
Is
every
he
day for
bulking?
the last.
What is he trying to do?
I don't know where it goes. I don't know.
He has a hollow leg.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
It's insane. So, anyways,
so
on
rice.
this list of like, yes, rice and beans, these are things that
Yeah,
And
rice
we buy
beans.
dried beans, but then
We
in
do
the
too.
winter when it's cool and I have canning jars that are being emptied, I will can
Right.
beans.
The dried
So-
beans will save you
Yeah.
a ton of money. It is shocking the amount of beans
But they
you
take
get.
more prep, and sometimes I don't have
They
that
do,
time.
but if you
so
had an Instant Pot,
I-
they take zero prep. You don't have to soak them at all. You put them in, and I think it's 30 minutes, and they're done. Like if you soak them overnight, you can have beans like that. 30
Okay.
minutes. 30 minutes. Dried beans.
trying
Listen,
to
I got
sell
nothing.
me.
I
She's
know you're
like-
looking at me because I
Yeah.
also own
No,
an Instant Pot, but
that's
I
the only
only
way I
buy
do it.
already made beans.
You
I don't
already-
buy
the canned beans,
in a-
yeah.
Listen, my parents used to make like 17
soup.
or
What are you gonna say?
27
Yes, the
bean
bean
soup or
soup.
something that like nobody should ever have to eat, in my humble opinion. So since that, like I used to know when I would come home from elementary school and there would be the bag on the counter, I was not eating for like 3 days because we were having bean soup. So I think this could be why I just don't. Yeah,
Wow.
I think
That's a
Instant
no for
Pot
me.
should give me royalties for the amount of times that I mentioned. No, that is a game changer because I wouldn't make beans sometimes because I forget to soak them overnight, and
Yeah.
there is no soaking. You just put them in, and it is done. It is super easy.
Okay.
Yep. So all the dried beans,
cornmeal,
Cornmeal.
we do cornmeal and
Yeah.
pasta.
oatmeal, or any kind of breakfast quinoa. We always have quinoa on hand.
I would say anything you want to make into flour at some point as well. So like
Right.
wheat germ, any of that you'd like to store.
Breadcrumbs. Now we used to only buy the Italian season, but I gave up and we buy regular now if we need them. You can always season them with whatever you want when you're ready to cook with them.
Right.
You buy breadcrumbs?
Yes, I do.
Okay. It was just
No, well, what are you gonna? What do you?
You
are
can
you
do it
making
in the
yours from
Instant
bread?
Pot.
I do
Love it.
panko.
Oh yes,
but yeah.
I can go breadcrumbs,
Okay.
but they come seasoned and unseasoned, and we used to always buy seasoned and.
Now you
No,
just season
yeah.
them from
Now we
your
just season them from
expired
there.
spices.
Yes, that is
Okay.
follow me for more pro tips. What to do with expired spices? Add them to your breadcrumbs.
So what kind of canned and jarred items do you keep in your pantry?
Tomatoes,
Lots
tomato
of tomatoes.
sauce,
Yep.
yeah,
Mhm.
all the
Paste.
tomatoes, yes, and of course with the garden, green beans. We freeze our corn, so I don't typically can corn. Olives are a big one for us.
Us
I was going to say olives,
Pickles.
jalapenos, pepperoncinis.
I do
Those are all in there.
once I'm done with just regular green beans, which tends to happen pretty fast in my family. 12 canners full of beans and I'm ready to be done. We do dilly beans. So I do dill, pickle, liquid, the brine with beans, green beans, and they are super crunchy and it's a favorite. They go very fast out of the pantry.
Is that similar to like a 3-bean salad you can get in the summertime?
No, they really are like pickles.
Okay,
Yeah,
all
they
right.
really are pickled. So yeah.
This would
Right.
be where if you're not making your own, you'd have stock and broth. You know, in the boxes probably is
Right.
what they typically come in.
Right. We
I
like
do.
pesto.
Pesto is one
Right.
of those ones
Yeah.
that it is delicious when made from scratch, but it's weird. Like Alfredo was one of the sauces that once you make homemade, you won't
You don't
buy
go to the
jars.
other. Yeah.
But pesto didn't fall in that category for our family. But it could be because we eat it all the time and no one wants to. But pine nuts are so expensive. And so, yeah, jarred pesto is worth it.
And a lot of the way I treat a lot of my canned and jarred items, I actually do this with a lot of the things that I keep on hand. I have like backups to my backups. So like I have tons of canned vegetables that I like almost never use, but they're like my backup. So if I ran out of fresh produce and I ran out of frozen and I need something, then that's when I'll pull that out. So it's more of like a backup.
Your emergency plan.
Emergency.
Yeah.
Or when we're doing tacos, our children love to make like corn salsa. Well, that's quick to grab a couple cans of corn. So, and even with that, when you get a pantry going or some of this stock going for you, it is really important to keep track of kind of what you're using. So, and you want to stay ahead of the game. Like I ran out of cumin yesterday when I was using it. Like, shame on me. We use cumin all the time, but I was busy. I just wasn't paying attention. So typically, even with, we're buying 50 pounds of flour at a time, which fills up 2 5-gallon buckets. But when I get to halfway through the second one, I'm already ordering the next one. Is trying to stay ahead of the game.
Right.
Because you could spend all this money and get it all wonderful and not keep adding to it. The downfall to that is there was a time where I was buying a peanut butter jar, extra every time I went. And then I swear I had 40 jars of peanut butter. So that just happened too. Yeah. If you're not looking and taking an inventory of what you have, you may end up with 20 jars of peanut butter.
In our family, peanut butter and jelly. So of course staples. But they are like the bananas in the pantry world of this. I will buy it. It will instantly disappear. Someone will complain we never have it, so I buy it again. Again, they are eating it at a large, quick rate. I buy more. And then all of a sudden, then no one eats it. It's like the bananas. I will buy 2 bunches of bananas. They're gone. I bring them home the day. Someone complains they didn't get one. And then I turn around and there's 10 brown bananas. And they're like, Mom, we don't like bananas.
That was so that was so March, Mom. We don't eat bananas in April, only in March.
Okay.
See, what I thought you were going to say, which is what happens to me, is I go in the cabinet because they say they just opened a new jar, and then I find 5 jars that are open, but no one wanted to move something to find the jar, which happens in my refrigerator.
Oh, so you just described my refrigerator in the vein of my condiment jarred existence completely. I have 2 whole shelves that are just opened, and there's always an open one in the back that no one.
This only happens to me since we added boys to our family. I have to say, this is one of those boy things that did you not see the 2 jars sitting there? And how explain this to me?
Now, are we saying boys as in all the male sex? Or,
no, my husband didn't do this.
Oh no, for me it's definitely all the men.
All of them.
Oh yeah,
in my home. Or
no, this
I
is
don't
sons for
see
me.
It.
Yeah,
I don't see it.
I'm how did you miss the 2 ranch dressings?
I love you, honey.
Yeah,
I know you do listen. I know you do. He's very sweet.
It's just not their strong suit. That's
okay.
Fine.
So jar fruit. We do apples, pears.
Yep.
I do cherry pie filling because there's a few
too.
different things that I make with that. I now do blueberry because one of my daughters, Lovely, her father-in-law visits frequently, so I try and keep some of that on hand so that I can make a dessert using that. Apples, dried apples. I do, some dried things. We do jerky and dried apples. I'm not a fan of dried bananas.
Applesauce.
Applesauce.
We have tons of
That's a staple.
Yep. So pumpkin puree you were talking about earlier, and
I buy that at the end of the fall,
the season,
when they're carrying it. Even I know we make our own cranberry sauce. It is amazing, and we do it all the time. But there's a point in time where you can't find cranberries.
Yeah, you have to freeze them.
I actually bought. Here comes your word. 2 flats of cranberry sauce. Yes. Because Aldi had them marked down, really inexpensive. However, which I know you know this because I think I told you or you witnessed it. One of my children, who will remain nameless, loves all things fruit and cranberry sauce. And I did not know that for snacks, he arbitrarily opens a can of cranberry sauce and eats it all. A can of peaches, eats it all. A can of pears, eats. So he came out the other day, maybe it was yesterday, with a can of peaches, just with a fork, popped open, right? And I said to him, honey, you have some paychecks coming in, and I'm going to start charging you for those cans. He said, but Mom, you said I can always have fruit. I'm like, bananas, apples, oranges.
The fresh things that are over here on the counter.
The bananas. Even if it's April. The bananas. But yes, all the fruit things.
I know. There was an Instagram reel. I think I said it. Did I send it to both of you? About how the mom is all the things you thought would make you poor, and it ends up being berries.
Berries. Yes.
Oh my gosh. Berries. I have to hide them.
You do have to hide them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we do buy those on sale when they're on sale, and then freeze them, and then I hide them in vegetable bags.
That's genius.
Oh my goodness.
Broccoli bags.
A broccoli bag
with berries.
Yeah.
Smart.
I don't even know what I could pick that people would be like, ew, I don't want to eat that. So I have a question for y'all. What is something that you keep stocked in your pantry for convenience food? Because if you plan ahead, or it is going to happen that you're going to have no time. And to prevent yourself from having to order pizza, takeout, or whatever, what do you keep on hand?
We ate it last night.
What was it?
Ours is like I never plan this meal, but it is spaghetti. Like spaghetti is the I last minute have 6 extra people. If I even last minute can pull frozen ground beef, like you can still beef it up with the protein.
Right.
But this is why, as much as we talk about doing pasta sauce from scratch, which is easy, not a big deal, but I still always have pre-made pasta sauce. So last night was that night. We had kids that had to get out the door for finance class, and we just cooked pasta.
Yep.
I browned 2 pounds of ground beef.
I would say for us, it would be chips and salsa.
Yeah.
I buy the big box of like 9 bags of chips because inevitably, even if we're invited somewhere, like that's something easy that I can just pack with us, and the kids will munch on it. And yeah.
Well, for me, it's definitely pepperoni and bacon crumble, because I always have frozen mozzarella. And
do you have to hide those? Because I have to hide those too at my house.
Yes, I do, because that would be another thing. It's not the
come into
peaches,
the kitchen with
like
the sun, not the peaches, but the bacon.
They know
bits
they can't have those. I hide
the bag to his mouth.
I'm not going to tell you where I hide them, but I do hide them because I have this quick and easy, like 10-minute pizza crust recipe. Yeah. So if someone's stopping by or we need a quick meal, you've had it. I'll make stromboli. So as long as I have all of those ingredients on hand, and that is stopping me from asking my husband to pick up pizza, which will, at this point, it will cost us $75 to order pizza, but this is like cheap and quick and easy.
I'd say like this is where when we, if you listen to our first episode or two, like please don't think that we always cook from scratch, because I have the blue box Kraft macaroni and cheese hidden in the back of my pantry on days when I end up short on time and extra people. And because it is that, like if you have people unexpectedly to your home, where we live, which is the middle of nowhere, I can't go to even if I go to the corner store, it's a fortune. Like a box of mac and cheese at the gas station down the road from us is $2.79 a box. So what's quick and easy then isn't cheap either. So like buying a few of those things in the back.
You can add
absolutely
chicken. You can add mixed frozen vegetables to that, and it does become then a main dish, and you're not
Yes.
We do that for people that we know we might be hosting at some point who their palate isn't as, however you want to put it.
When the Parks family comes over.
I'm not singling you out, and it's not just you. We actually show hospitality to other people. But it's nice to have that on hand as I go too.
So when I had your daughter at our house for St. Patrick's Day, one of the dishes I brought out was just a really beautiful crystal bowl of pickled beets. Okay. And then I heard her say something to Kaden, and what she had asked was like, does your mom always serve pickled beets at St. Patrick's Day? And I chimed in, no. We love pickled beets, and they're special because we don't eat them often. I keep a stash of those. That is if I think I undercooked and I need something
like
extender, then I'll bring that, and it's an additional
We'll do
side.
that with pickles and olives and
pickles
stuff
and olives,
too.
we do that.
Yeah.
So in your fridge or freezer, are there staples that you keep there? Mine is butter. We always have lots of butter in our freezers.
And cheese. We freeze a lot of cheese.
Parmesan cheese.
Yes, all of it. All of the cheese.
Yeah.
We freeze nuts for baking. So we have a walnut tree
in my freezer just because you can make a great Greek dish with phyllo dough that's quick and easy. All the frozen vegetables, frozen spinach. Like I need frozen spinach all the time.
Yeah. Frozen fruit, frozen vegetables. I do yard sauce. That's where I keep would be our tomato sauce is in the freezer. Corn. We freeze our corn. Stock. I freeze all my
that's
stock.
where we keep our stock is in the freezer.
Any extra pantry items, extra flour, extra sugar goes in my freezer. So
I love to keep shredded zucchini because we always get a ton of it in the garden, and it's wonderful when it's winter and you can make zucchini bread.
or add it to a soup. Just,
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, we encourage you guys to like shop around. I mean, I think we all live close to like an Amish store.
Community somewhere.
Community, and they sell their spices in bulk. They sell a lot of like all of these pantry staples that we talked about. You can usually find in larger quantities. Even if you're in an apartment, and it's you and a girlfriend headed out to something like if you're a Costco shopper, split the spices. It is unbelievable how much you can save by buying a lot of these things in bulk.
Yes.
Right.
So go in, divide.
Yep.
Are we doing a bulk episode at some point? I feel like
We're doing like some deep prepping, which should be in bulk.
Yes.
Yeah, we are going to talk about.
And we'll get into more prices and quantity and that kind of
how
stuff
to
when we do
store.
that
Stay tuned
episode.
for
Yes.
that.
Storage.
But hopefully we gave you guys a good place to start and to start thinking about how your well-stocked pantry will look. Yeah.
Yep. No, that's awesome. Well,
Yeah.
thank you guys for joining us today. As always, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram. We love reading your reviews, and we look forward to seeing you guys next week.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.